My name is Cassidy Marshall. I'm an assistant project manager at Meyer Najem. I came down to Indianapolis in 2018 to IUPUI, which is now Purdue Indy, in the construction management program. Actually, to start, I was in marketing beforehand, so started in graphic design. Realized it wasn't what I wanted to do, and during COVID, I made the switch to construction. Thought I wanted to be in architecture, but IUPUI didn't have that at the time, so construction was the next best thing. So hopped in there, and I loved it. It was a great change of pace. It was something that was a lot more involved. I got to work with different types of people all the time, and so I just started with the program and graduated in 2021, and now we're here. I graduated from Mishawaka High School up north in Mishawaka, Indiana. Moved down to Indianapolis just because of the networking opportunities and just how Indianapolis as a whole is booming no matter almost what industry you're in, I feel like. But I got lucky because construction down here is going absolutely crazy. There's just so many opportunities for different projects and working with different owners and working with different teams. So I chose the right industry, being in Indianapolis. So yeah, I came down here for the experience and just trying to get out of a small town. In the construction management program, having an internship is a requirement. So did that my junior year and started with Meyer Najem just as a summer intern. Because Purdue Indy is located downtown and it was easy to work during the school year, they actually allowed me to come work with them while I was still actively in classes. So I got to kind of have that extra experience of taking what I learned from the classroom and putting it into the real world. At that point, I got to see, okay, I'm looking at drawings at school, but now I'm looking at drawings on an active project, and how does that actually happen? So I got to take that, start talking to subcontractors, learning from them at the same time, and so it was a really cool experience where I could take what I was learning and see it going actually full run. It's right in front of me every single day. So yeah, Meyer Najem gave me that opportunity, and Purdue Indy worked with me on it, so it was great. I think it prepared me because it built a lot of confidence. I think when you're sitting in a classroom, like, you can understand knowledge up to a certain extent. But then once you're finally in the field and you're working with people, you're talking with people, you're working with people who are so experienced, they also have confidence in you that you're going to get something done. So when you start to see that and you have responsibilities, it starts to build this confidence in yourself, like, okay, like I can do this. So it was a really cool opportunity where I worked with great teams who just inspired me to keep pushing forward and take what I was learning from school, but then like run rampant with it in the actual field. So I think ultimately it just changed my overall willingness to learn, being a sponge, and just confidence overall just boosted. I think that the construction management program definitely lays a really good foundation, because obviously without the foundation, it's just going to crumble. It created a lot of just generalized, like, okay, this is what you're going to see when you're working with drawings. This is what you're going to see when you're working with the owner on different things. And I think it gives you a really good idea of what you're going into. But then once you finally get an internship or you get that full-time job, you already have a general idea of like, oh, like, we learned about this in school. So having that initial like small snippet almost, and then putting it on the larger scale, you're able to be accustomed, and you're able to know generally like what we're going to be talking about, but now you can just soak everything in. So I would say that they definitely set the foundation for success for the real world. When I first started, I was day to day in the field every single day, all the time. I had my boots strapped with my vest on, and I still do to this day. So I've been at Meyer Najem for about 3 years now, but now I have a lot more responsibility. So I'm now working actively on 2 different school projects, one in Fishers and one in Columbus, Indiana. So having people lean on you to get tasks done and completed. I've been able to, be really good at submittals, getting really good with communicating with the architect and the design team, working with owners every day, getting a hold of schedules and making sure phasing is correct. Like, we have a lot of renovation projects in these schools right now, and phasing is super important because you're working in an active school system where you need to make sure it's safe and you're not affecting education and all that kinds of stuff. So it's gone from, I've been working on 6 different projects since my time here. So I've had a lot of different experience going from healthcare to education now, and senior living facility before that, or municipal buildings. So a lot of it has changed. I think it depends on the company you go to too. Like, if they're willing to show you different avenues rather than just kind of putting in a hole of like, this is where you're going to stay, it really depends on where you go. So make sure when you're looking for a company, you're making sure you're finding someone who you're not only going to invest in them, but they're also going to invest in you. Someone told me a long time ago, like, construction can be easy. Drawings are easy to read, but what makes it difficult can be people. And so sometimes like you need to be able to be proactive rather than reactive when you're working with people. So with that, like you need to understand communication. You need to understand that like this is a people business. Like at the end of the day, like you're building something for somebody to come in and utilize that space. So it's all about talking. It's all about making sure that you're speaking the same language when it comes to, you know, your owner might interpret something different than what your architect team is just based off of the different resources that they have. So making sure you're accommodating not only the subcontractors, but the owner and also the architect. You're the middleman for all of that. So you have to be really good. You have to be really patient when it comes to having those conversations, because if you're just reactive to it, if something happens, if something goes south and you're reactive to the point where you're not able to fix a problem because of the way you're communicating, like that's difficult to come by. So if you're proactive with your communication, making sure that you're being selfless and bringing your resources, bringing your talents to talk to people, it just makes the process so much easier. And at the end of the day, like that job's going to get finished. That building's going to go up no matter what. You might as well be working on a great team because you're communicating with them and you're being a team player rather than, you know, the building's still going to go up, but if you're on a team that you can't communicate with and it just isn't a good time, then your passion changes a little bit. So yeah, be passionate about people, because it definitely makes the projects a whole lot sweeter when they're done. I think the best part about this job is that you work with so many different kinds of people who are very educated and just they're so knowledgeable about what they're doing. So I might not be the smartest person in the room, but I know I can go find somebody who knows everything that has to come by with whether it's electrical, mechanical, no matter what else. So I think that my favorite part is the people part. I love to learn something new from people all the time. My brain just happens to work with problem solving, and I'm good with numbers and looking at drawings like that. But I think my favorite part is the people part, learning from other people constantly and being a sponge the whole time. Hopefully that'll never change. I think my professors did a really good job about ingraining into your head, like, as a construction manager, more times than not, you're the person who needs to bring a lot of different people together. So always being able to ask really good questions and get people who maybe are really smart in different things coming together and get them all on the same page. And so I think they set that groundwork from the beginning. Like they were taking us to job sites, they were explaining what was actually going on in their neck of the woods, because a lot of our professors were actively working themselves. So they were able to bring real world scenarios, which we didn't have quite yet. You know, when you're first starting out in college, all you know is what's in front of your face in a book or looking at drawings, and you're like, oh my gosh, am I ever gonna understand any of this? And then you get to your senior year and you're like, wow, like I appreciate them very much because they were able to share their experiences, be very upfront, and allow us to, you know, work with internships, go to career fairs where they brought in people from Indianapolis who are looking for Purdue Indianapolis students to come in and basically say, like, we want Purdue Indianapolis students. So they do a very good job of making sure that at the end of your 4 years of college that you are going to find a place that you're going to love. Before the internship, I was scared. I was like, oh my goodness, am I ever going to know enough? But I think after your internship, you realize construction is always evolving. Construction is always changing. New technology is coming into play. So it's going to be constantly evolving no matter what, no matter who you are. But at the end of the day, when you have confidence in your approach to people and your approach to working with others, it completely changes the game. So I think once my internship happened and I started working more, I started to realize, like, okay, like I can do this. Like, you have other people who want to invest in you and teach you how to do certain things also. So I think, yeah, it was definitely probably end of sophomore year, junior year, where I was like, okay, this is it. I think a lot of it has come down to communication. So at Purdue, we use Procore all the time, and that's still something that we actually use. I use Procore every single day. So that form of framework is still there. I think it depends on the company you go to, but there's different ways people do scheduling now. There's ways that people transfer files back and forth now. It used to be you had to take a paper copy in for a building permit or whatever else. Now you can just upload some files to a link and it's all good to go. So it varies, but a lot of it still comes down to to, I'm still going to print out my drawings at the end of the day. I'm going to highlight certain things, and I'm going to circle and have questions, and it just depends. I think it's changing, but at the end of the day, it comes back to the basics of what you know and who you know. On the construction management side, I use my phone, I use iPads, we scan QR codes now to do punch lists, we take drone photos that we send to our owners on a weekly basis, and so we're doing and utilizing different forms of technology that maybe we didn't have 10, 15, 20 years ago, which is really cool. But I also think that's a benefit to the owner because they can also see what's actively going on your construction site, because with construction it comes a lot of curiosity where it's like, oh, I want to know what's going on that project. So having that resource is really cool. Purdue Indy, at the end of your college degree, you have to do a capstone. And that capstone is actually still, it transitions into the real world like 100%. If you're a part of an interview team to go interview with an owner at some point, the way that capstone is set up is identical to what it will look like if you're trying to get a job. So that could mean the high school that you went to growing up. Like if you want to go add an addition onto that high school, you have to interview for that job, and that's identical to what your capstone will look like. It's going to be the same format where they want to know about budget, they want to know about schedule, they want to know how logistically your plan is going to look, and you need to sell yourself as far as like why you need to be chosen as your construction manager. So I think a lot of times when you're at the end of your college degree, you realize like, okay, I'm just ready to go work. And sometimes that last project is like, okay, like let's just get her out of the way and it'll be fine. But honestly, the way that they have it set up is a great transition to where you will eventually have an opportunity down the road in the real world. That's definitely a skill that I've had to use here recently. So I appreciate capstone for sure because it is definitely useful. At the end of your senior year semester, it's 1 semester long, you're partnered with a team, a group that you haven't worked with before. More times than not, it's a randomly selected group, and you each have a different role. So one of you is an assistant project manager, a project manager, a field superintendent, an estimator, scheduler, and you take on that role. So ultimately, you're creating a logistical plan, you're creating the schedule, you're creating a budget for a selected project. We utilize a transportation center project that was my capstone. So what we did is we pretended that we were the construction manager. We didn't know entirely what the whole premises of like what the drawings looked like or maybe what the scope of the work looked like, but your goal by the end of the semester is to be able to present to the owner, which is basically professors, people in the industry. So they could be project managers, they could be superintendents who come in and volunteer their time to review you and actually ask you questions at the end of your capstone. So you have to be the expert on that example or sample project. So it's an opportunity to work with a group of people to complete your responsibilities and be able to prove to the owner why you need to be chosen for this project. But at the end of the day, you're presenting slides to a group, you have to look professional, you have to have presentation skills, and you need to be able to answer questions that will win them over, hopefully, to choose you as the construction manager, and you get graded on that. And it's actually a really cool experience. In the slides, you want to be able to talk about yourself, so your experience. You want to show what major milestones would look like for the owner, whether that be, this is when punch happens, this is when you'd be able to move into the building once we're done. So your schedule is on there, your budget, so you have to be able to estimate out the whole entire project. So you're putting quantities, you're putting square footages, you're applying actual cost to that at that point, and you're being able to present that to the board or the owners at that point. You have to put images of, we did like a BIM image almost, like you could put together like a mock image of what the building would look like once it was done. But yeah, your presentation is probably 20 slides worth of information that you have to present within less than 30-40 minutes and have room for questions, and that's what your presentation is. The questions that I remember getting, I think some of them had to revolve around logistics. So ultimately, like, why are you parking in this area, or why is your trailer being set up here? How am I going to be getting into a building? So we had one where it was a owner-occupied building, but we're adding onto that building while the owner still needs to be able to work. So a lot of it was like, okay, well, how are you going to alleviate any sound or any issues with how we get to our cars, how you guys need to get deliveries, so having to coordinate around all that. Those were a lot of the questions that I remember getting and being able to respond to those. If you're thinking about choosing construction management as your career path, then I think you're choosing the right industry. And I know I'm probably biased in saying that, but I think that construction is such an awesome experience where you're working with people all the time. You're doing something new every day, and with that comes a lot of opportunity for different projects, different builds. You're interacting with new owners. Like I said earlier, this is a people business. So ultimately, at the end of the day, you're creating something for somebody else. So at the end of the day, and this is a goal of mine, I want to be able to drive past it with my kids one of these days. Like, I got to work on that building and they get to use this now. And I think like that gets to leave a legacy of what you've done, but also at the same time, it's a huge community effort. You get to impact your community, impact your state, and that's such an awesome thing to be a part of. So the fact that you're even thinking about doing it is awesome in itself. But even to the people who don't even know that some of the options for construction management, like this is even an opportunity for you, I think anybody can do this. I think as long as you're good with people and you're willing to work with others, like this can be for you. So I think this would be the best route to go. If you're looking to go anywhere from construction management, it would be Purdue Indy. I think the fact that it's centralized to Indianapolis is booming with construction right now. There's something going on all the time. And so with that comes a lot of opportunities to work with construction managers, work with different subcontractors, work with different trades, and it's a variety of different choices to go by. Purdue Indy and the professors there allow you and give you an opportunity to go to a career fair that is focused on the construction management degree in general. So you have companies who are going there seeking out Purdue Indy students, and so that just gives you a great opportunity to rope yourself in, get invested in the community, even if you're not from Indianapolis like myself. Like you will get brought in, it'll be a great opportunity to meet people, and your construction career will just take off. So it's a great opportunity.